was just finishing shaving using my computer's camera because the mirror in this apartment is really lousy. So this is effectively a high-tech mirror. What does it mean when people say, I love Japan or I love Thailand? And I'm here thinking primarily of Western expatriates. I've received, negative feedback, shock, horror, etc. In response to articles I've written lately about both Japan and Thailand and videos I've recorded. Quite a while ago I offered critique of what's been going on with vegans in Thailand. And Thailand's been a big part of my life. I just looked it up. I moved to Thailand way back in November of 2004. And what I fundamentally don't understand or don't relate to is this idea that because you like a place, because you care about a place, you're going to pretend that its problems don't exist, that you're going to engage in a sort of cover-up as if you yourself were a nationalist or a propagandist for that place. I think it's really useful to shift the verb from love to care about. If you care about Thailand, can't you also care about the oppression of its indigenous minorities, its minority peoples generally, indigenous or not? From the first day I got to Thailand, I was interested in the ethnic minorities of Thailand. Groups like the Mon, groups like the Aka in the north. Nobody taught me that. And I didn't develop that interest in response to something. I didn't have some kind of epiphany, some moment where I started caring about that. From the first day I got there, I was concerned about and interested in those groups. And that wasn't only in terms of contemporary social and political problems, sort of things you might read in a newspaper. It was also in relation to how history was written. I was really aware that in reading official history, we use this in Thai studies in the history of Thailand. People like to say official history instead of propaganda. But the official version of history, as dictated by the Thai government, has many remarkable riddles in it, many omissions, and many outright lies. It's not all lies, though. It's still important to study it carefully. And sometimes, for example, the version of Thai history written by Europeans contains lies, and you find the truth in the official Thai version, even though it's propaganda in various ways. But anyway, I was interested in those ethnic minorities and those oppressed and excluded peoples, those conquered peoples, partly just to contrast their version of history to the official Thai history. And partly because, I was studying this ancient dead language, Pali. Pali relates to the history of Southeast Asia in the way that, say, ancient Greek relates to the history of Europe. And I remember when I would go to the National Library, I forget now if it's officially called the National Library or the National Archives in Bangkok. It was a terrible, exhausting, difficult trip to make in the heat and so on. Maybe transportation has gotten better since 2004 in Bangkok, but anyway, it was actually always showed up exhausted and dehydrated when I finally got to that library. And all of the books from Myanmar, from Sri Lanka, and even from ethnic minorities within Thailand, like the Mon, those books were all hidden away in a corner. They were excluded from the rest of the library and where other patrons wouldn't find them. And I laboriously went there. And that was the one section that really mattered to me every time I went. That was the first place I was going to. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk about why those books were especially important. Obviously, a very small number of people with specialized interest in history, literature, philosophy, history of Buddhism also would understand why those books were so important, but they were and they still are. An extremely small number of English-speaking people have ever studied those books still today. And I went back again and again. And one day those books that were already discriminated against, shall we say, they disappeared. And when I asked where they had went, the young woman working in the library, And I say that because most of the staff there are not librarians. They just employ like teenagers to do many of the jobs there. The young woman said, all of the foreign books were removed. The new library policy is only Thai books are available if you don't have special access privileges. And those special privileges have to come from Parliament. You have to write a letter to the National Parliament to get access to the forbidden books at the National Library. And this is not a religious institution. This is a normal, secular, political institution run by the government. And the word she used for foreign was not a nice word. You know, there are different ways to say foreign in the Thai language. The one you hear most often, if you're a Westerner, is the term used for a European foreigner. It's not the same way. They refer to a foreigner from India or Pakistan. Won't get into it. And I remember I said to her in reply, I could only speak a little bit of the Thai language at the time. But I said in some combination of English and Thai, but many of those books were made here in Thailand. They're just made by ethnic minorities. And she, of course, answered, no, same. Foreigners, public can't read those. If you love Thailand, if you care about Thailand, why would you therefore put yourself in the position of making excuses for Thailand? Why wouldn't you be passionately trying to direct the attention of the public towards the problems in Thailand that you care about? In the past, I've given the very simple example of if you're vegan, why don't you care about elephants or animal slaughterhouses in Thailand? If you care about human rights, if you care about politics, democracy, whatever it is. I don't see how caring about Thailand equates to being a propagandist for Thailand or covering up problems in Thailand. And I'm now experiencing, to my sadness, I can't say to my shock, I can't say to my surprise, the extent to which white Western people who have adopted Japanese culture in some sense, who idealize Japanese culture, feel that they ought to be the protectors of a largely fictional image of Japanese nationalism that they've invented. If you care about Japan, I think the way to care for Japan is to engage deeply with its social problems and not to try to perpetuate a fiction that Japan does not have those social problems, and not to attack anyone who dares to, in good faith, engage in discussion of or research of those problems. Maybe that's enough to say for this one video.